out right now that says when Brazil gets rid of its subsidies, we will immediately and automatically get rid of ours. But I'm not going to let Brazil destroy agriculture in America because we have to be able to feed ourselves.
Many supporters of the export-import thing, which you oppose, make the same argument. We'll get rid of our export subsidies when China and France and other countries do those. Why wouldn't that same argument they just made on sugar subsidies apply to that?
Yeah, because the difference is we actually have other banks that give loans. In essence, the Export-Import Bank is not the only thing out there that gives loans. 97% of U.S. exports do not rely on the Export-Import Bank, for starters. Number two, there are other vehicles by which you can finance these things. There are no other alternatives when it comes to agriculture. Once the land is gone, you're never getting it back. When it comes to private business like this, an exporter, we have a banking industry in this country. It's become too consolidated because of Dodd-Frank, and that's why Dodd-Frank needs to be repealed. But we have non-governmental avenues for financing exports. And you really want to help exports in America? Why don't you lower regulations, reform and lower the tax code, repeal Obamacare, which is discouraging them from hiring people, not to mention destroying our healthcare system, and allow us to fully utilize our energy resources. That will do a lot more for manufacturing and export than the Export-Import Bank ever did.
Senator Rubio, please invite Governor Haley back to the stage.
Welcome back to South Carolina, Senator Rubio. All right, Marco, so this is the question. You and I both cut our teeth at the State House. And sometimes you get a lot of bruises and you get really tough skin when you get elected to the State House. You actually were Speaker of the House, so you had quite a big leadership role and had to push things through and herd the cats to get that done. The biggest frustration that I have, and that this audience has, is we were told if you hire a Republican majority, everything will change. We hired a Republican majority in both the House and the Senate. And in D.C., nothing has changed. What is going on?
And that's exactly why I'm running for president. And I'll tell you why. It took me a very short amount of time to realize is that both political parties, quite frankly, are not attached to disconnect between Washington and the American people. Let me tell you this working history. I'll tell you the source of the disconnect. It's not that it's evil people. Two things happen. Number one, after some time in politics, people become disconnected from the reality. They forget what it's like to live paycheck to paycheck. They forget what it's like to owe thousands of dollars in student loans they probably never did. They forget how difficult it is for someone who's trying to start a business. Do you realize that for the first time in 35 years, we have more businesses dying in America than started? And so that disconnect is real and it exists in both parties. And here's the other thing they lose, the sense of urgency. The urgency to get things done. There is no sense of urgency. The notion is that our job is just to run the process and just make it work better. Some people have more loyalty to the institution they serve in than the country they're supposed to be serving. And so these are the problems that we face. And it's only gotten worse over the last few years, to be quite frank. And what I realized very quickly is you will not be able to change the direction of this country unless you have a president who is in touch, has a vision for the future, and has a sense of urgency about the challenges that we face. Because here's the truth. America remains a great country. There isn't a nation on earth that will treat business. But we are, thank you very much, I appreciate it. I've never been heckled by a fire. It's a great country. We have never treated places, but we are on the road to decline. If we continue the road that we are on today, we are going to be the first Americans ever to leave our children worse off than ourselves. But that's where we're going to head. If we keep electing the same people with the same ideas, we will get the same result. That's why the time has come to turn the page. That's why I support term limits. That's why